Hi, welcome back. So, in continuing with this course on becoming your own boss, Module 4, let's look at the objectives for this module. So, at the end of this module, we would like you to know who an entrepreneur is. We'd like you to understand the concept of entrepreneurship and also assess yourself for potential qualities of an entrepreneur. We want you to be able to look at the qualities that you have and determine if indeed you have the requisite qualities that makes an entrepreneur. So let's start with what modular startup model is. So the modular startup model encourages the development and unbundling of entrepreneurial ideas. And let's take a pause for a moment there. When we talk about unbundling entrepreneurial ideas, what that simply is trying to say is that it is in certain instances, an individual may have more than one entrepreneurial idea. Because you have multiple entrepreneurial ideas does not necessarily guarantee that you have to launch out all your ideas at the same time. The thinking behind this is like putting too many works in the fire or chasing after too many birds. If you chase after too many birds, you most likely will end up catching none of them. So the modular startup model tries to encourage the development of your entrepreneurial ideas in a modular fashion, in a scalable manner, in a manner where you can start up a particular idea and then scale up that particular idea based on your understanding of the environmental dynamics, based on the success that you have recorded in the previous idea that you launched. And of course, possibly also based on the opportunity that the market presents for you. So the modular startups try to encourage an individual in launching out the idea in a bit-by-bit manner. That is, in a manner of one after the other. So, whether it is at the design phase or the planning phase or even before takeoff, it is important that you have a very balanced and strategic growth. Because if you have an idea that is scalable, what it means is that where you are supposed to start your business with ₦1 million, you most likely will be able to start the same business with 100,000 naira. And based on the success and understanding, better understanding of the marketplace, you are able to consolidate on that and ramp up the scale of your business. Similarly, the modular startup model focuses on deploying the right strategy that will be time-bound. So it means that even though you are scaling up the implementation of the idea in a modular fashion, in a scalable manner, this approach that you have followed will be time-bound, and you would assign specific key performance indicators to them to assess how successful you have been in the implementation of your thoughts or your ideas. So keep this in mind as we progress in this conversation, because it's going to be very useful if we know that we can pursue an idea in a modular fashion. So let's ask ourselves the question, who is an entrepreneur? Can you answer that question? What is your view about who an entrepreneur is? Feel free to type your answer to who an entrepreneur is in the comment box that is assigned to this particular course. We would like to hear from you your own perspective or your own definition of who an entrepreneur is. But for the purpose of this conversation that we're having today, it is not easy being an entrepreneur, but know very well that it is worth it. Let me say that again. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy task, but it is a worthy task. And that is a quote I would like you to take away. There is nothing like having a piece of your own. There is nothing like having a business of your own. Many of us who probably had gone through paid employment went through such opportunity because somebody at some point in time sat down and thought about creating an opportunity. If it were not so, some of us would not have had the opportunity of working in a paid employment environment. Very recently, the unemployment statistics for Nigeria was released for the fourth quarter of 2020. And the statistics showed that between the quarter 3 and quarter 4, the unemployment rate in Nigeria went from 27.1% to 33%. Similarly, youth unemployment went as high as 45%. The simple insight you can draw from there is that the number of jobs available is not sufficient for the teeming youth population. But also, we also know that there is also a place of having the right skills and having the right employability capability for youth to get employment. Even though our focus today is on creating entrepreneurial mindsets, it is important that you get to a point where you can create opportunities for people to leverage. But of course, it is also important to get to the point where you can also teach people how to create opportunities. That's why we indeed hope that by the end of this course that you are taking, you will indeed be able to create opportunities not only for yourself, but even for others to be able to harness. So as we will define it, an entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. The entrepreneur is commonly seen as an innovator. Why do we call him an innovator? Because he identifies a gap in the business environment. He identifies a problem. He identifies a need. And because he is an entrepreneur, he creates a solution around the problems. He creates a solution to the needs. He brings about new ideas. He creates new goods and new services that can address business problems or individual problems. So an entrepreneur is someone who innovates ideas and who innovates solutions and who can help to transit from the point of a problem to the point of solution. We've also seen from that definition that an entrepreneur is a risk taker. He is willing and ready to take risks. And that's what makes him different from any other type of business owner. An entrepreneur is an initiator. So even where ideas have not been initiated, an entrepreneur initiates ideas. It challenges the status quo. It never accepts the situation, the position where he is. So an entrepreneur is a challenger and a driver. Is someone that creates something new, either an initiative, a business, or a company. The entrepreneur might not be the ideator, but he or she is definitely the one that decides to take that idea into reality. So you see that an entrepreneur becomes a critical component in an ecosystem. That's the reason why for a place like Nigeria, and even in many parts of Africa and around the world, the subject of entrepreneurship has become a critical subject that is currently being taught in many schools, even at elementary level. And that's because every economy needs to get to the point where they can groom entrepreneurs right from their youth. Do you know that the leading global economies today became what they are because there were people who saw opportunities and created ideas and solutions for those opportunities. There were people who developed what is called a startup. There were people who saw ideas and translated those ideas to reality. Those ideas that became reality today have become multinational, multi-dollar businesses. They have become businesses that are ranking in top 100, top 10, top 50 categories. These are people who saw problems, but rather than turn their back at the problems, they faced the problems headlong, and they were able to create opportunities for the problems. So for us, we want you indeed to be an entrepreneur. We want you indeed to become your own boss. And we want to believe that with this explanation of who an entrepreneur is, helps to give some perspective to the subject of entrepreneurship and what indeed you require to become an entrepreneur. There are many more things that we will learn as an entrepreneur, and it is expected that you will join us as we learn this. Thank you for this time that you have spent trying to understand the concept of an entrepreneur. In the next subject, we will discuss more of the concepts and give you more perspective into what you need to know to become indeed a successful entrepreneur. Once again, my name is Ladi Daudu.